conference. Coach will start us off with a quick opening statement. Please raise your hands for questions.
You know, when you review the game from Saturday, there's lots of positives we could take out of the game on both sides of the ball. And there's lots of things that we can learn as a football team to continue to grow and to improve. First of all, it's about things that we can control, which is, assignment, alignment, stance, technique, how we finish. Lots of things that we've kind of been preaching on the entire year. It's interesting when you go and look at the game, how many clean plays we play on both sides of the ball. When we play clean, what's our success rate? And when we don't have clean plays, what's our success rate? So there's lots of things there that we can control, that we've got to improve on. We've got to learn from. We've got to grow from. When you look at the game in itself, I felt like that we had guys that played faster than they've played before. And the good thing about, you can kind of see that in this day and time with the GPSs and things. So we've got to get guys to continue to play that fast. Offensively, we moved the ball in the first half, created some explosive plays, had some success running the football. Didn't finish the first half there. We missed a field goal. Second half we probably missed some plays there that we wished we had back, but we've got to fix that and put some drives together. We turned the ball over 2 times in the second half that hurt us, and then finished the game there in the red area kind of at the end of the game, and didn't get the ball in the end zone. Defensively, just way too many yards after contact. Too many loose plays. We've got to be able to generate pass rush. Created some tight windows in coverage. They made some throws and catches, but got to find a way to create negative plays. Got to be able to get turnovers. And when people get the ball in the red area, you got to keep them out of the end zone, force them to kick field goals. Didn't handle the 2-minute situation before the half very well. Give up a draw on the first play, and got to do a better job executing calls there. A little disappointed in the kicking game from a standpoint of our kickers. They've done a really, really nice job most of the year, and we missed a field goal and didn't punt the football as well as we had an opportunity to do. So there's lots of things that we can learn from this game and move forward. Getting ready for this week, just looking at Mississippi State. I'm looking at their 2 deep on offense, and I think every starter they got, depending on who they start at quarterback, is a 4th or 5th year guy. So it's a experienced football team, a mature football team offensively, old, lots of big guys. Defensively, they got some really good returning players. Last year, they had one of the best defenses in all of college football. They've got 21 consecutive games, where they've created a turnover. So they create negative plays by bringing pressure and put the offense a little bit on their heels. So it'll be a tremendous challenge for us. It's a great opportunity for our guys to build. I feel like we've improved every single week, but number 1, we've got to quit turning the ball over. 2, we got to get turnovers, and we got to play clean football. We got to grow up and do those things to give us an opportunity to have success. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Jimmy and then David.
Jeremy, a couple things. First, Brian Maurer, after watching the tape, how would you assess his play?
I thought he had really good energy. Done some nice things, especially early on. Made some really, really nice throws, got the ball out of his hand. But he also made some mistakes too, right? Probably should have handed the ball off a couple of times, made incorrect reads there. In the second half, a couple of times he worked the wrong side of the field. He made probably a poor decision when he threw the interception down there. And And then they ran the cat blitz there. We got to have control of the corner in that protection. So there's way more positives than they were negatives, But he's got to learn from them and not make the same mistakes again. But he did step in there and make some nice throws. And I thought our kids rallied around him pretty good there.
And do you anticipate him starting against State?
Well, we're going to see how this week goes. I mean, I think you'd really have to have a bad week of practice not to, But we'll see how the week goes.
David, and then Austin and Vince.
Jeremy, where do you feel depth issues the most for you guys as coaches, and how does that affect you guys? And do you anticipate moving anybody to inside linebacker at this point?
Well, there's several positions that we probably lack depth, and not necessarily just in numbers, just in experience, right? You got some younger guys there that hadn't had an opportunity to play, but there's several positions, and it's really what happens is like Alante Taylor gets a hip flexor that he's kind of had bothered him for a couple of weeks. Warren Braille turns his ankle on Wednesday, and you got guys that play on the kickoff cover team or the punt return team, the punt team, and now they're out. So it forces guys like Jawan Jennings or Josh Palmer, people having to start doubling up, right? That's where it's kind of just sheer numbers hurts you a little bit there, and probably lessens some of the reps that you take at practice.
Austin and Vince.
Coach, you talk about the struggle in the King game on Saturday. Will you give Paxton a look this week, and maybe what does he do differently as a punter than maybe what Joe does?
I think Joe's done a really nice job for 2 years. I think he picked his head up on 2 punts Saturday. It's kind of like when I swing a golf club. I keep my eyes down, my head down. I usually hit it. You've seen it. I raise my eyes up. I don't hit it too good. So, but I think that's what Joe did. But Paxton has always been in the game plan, and he will continue to be.
Vince, and then Brent.
Coach, Aubrey Solomon went down over here. Aubrey Solomon went down during the game. What's his status? And then also we saw Kavaris Crouch in a little more expanded role. Seeing the tape, what did you think of his performance?
Well, Q continues to improve. He's got to improve his pass rushing, in some of the games and things that we've done with him inside there. He needs to clean those up. Aubrey was playing a really good game, and unfortunately he's been a little banged up with a knee and a shoulder, which it's football, right? So, and he's pushed through most of the year, because he's had it, and he'll continue to do that. We'll monitor him and see how he is. We won't put him out there unless he's ready to play. But I think he played 18 snaps in the game. Those 18, he played really well.
Brent, and then Stephen Blake.
Coach, a couple of things. One, what's the status of Riley Locklear with the injury and the rest of your offensive line injuries? And two, in the kickoff return game, do you want Ty Chandler to fair catch everything inside the 10? Is that his discretion? What are you looking for in the kickoff return if an opportunity presents itself to return the ball? Meaning the kick's not into the end zone.
Right. Well, if you look, we have a couple of things we do. We study the kickers for the other team. What's their hang time? For example, this last week, Rodrigo. I guess maybe by now he's probably kicked over probably 95% of his balls in the end zone, right? So the ones that he don't, okay, what's the hang time? Okay, and then you look and see where the opposing coverage team, where they at when you catch the ball. Well, if these guys are on the 22-yard line and you catch the ball on the 1, your chances of getting it back to the 25 are probably slim. Sometimes you can kick the ball 6 or 7 yards deep in the end zone, but when the guy catches the ball, the coverage team might be at the 38-yard line. Well, you got a chance to bring it out, right? So there's kind of a little bit of a thing that we go through there to look and see and what gives us the best opportunity. Last year, I'm not exactly sure what the stat was, but if you would have fair caught the football every time and took the ball on the 25, I think you would have finished in the top 30 or 35 in the country. Because as soon as you return the ball out, especially if it's a corner kick, people get you pinned down there. That's when you see guys get tackled on the 12 and 14-yard line. So I think we just got to make good decisions. I'm very comfortable with our plans that we've had this year. I do think Ty's a dynamic returner, but I think you also have to, kind of look and see what all goes into the risk versus the reward for the return. Riley got banged up a little bit, and I don't want to say it's a concussion, but he got his bell rung, and we're taking precautionary measures there.
Stephen and Wade.
I think Mississippi State's played two quarterbacks in just about every game this year, whether for injury reasons or other reasons. The two quarterbacks, Schrader and Stevens, how are they kind of different in terms of preparing for, and what's the difficulty in preparing for a two quarterback situation like that, assuming that's what they do again?
That's one of the things I was looking at this morning is what's the difference with 6 and 7 in the game, right? So, and I don't see a whole lot. You would think, like I had an opportunity last week because we were off to watch the Auburn game, and so I see Schrader playing. It looks like more like the running part of Fitzgerald, who was there before, or something like that. Not that Schrader, he can throw the football, but just see how the game's called. But as you go back and look at their body of work, the other kid's running the football just as much too. So I think that's who they are. So I don't see a whole lot of difference.
Wade, and then Patrick and Jesse.
Jeremy, a couple things. One, I don't think Warren Burrell and Roman Harrison played. Was that injury or otherwise? And then with Brian, it seemed like on several passes he was just asked to make a couple reads. Can you talk about that plan with him, and is that something you think can work for him going forward?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Warren Burrell, he got hurt on Wednesday, I believe it was, and he was a game-time decision. The kid wanted to play, and really came a long ways in a 2 or 3 day period. He actually didn't practice on Thursday or Friday, and we almost thought he could play Saturday afternoon after watching him warm up, but still a little swollen. But I think he'll be ready this week. Roman didn't play in the game. And he's got to continue to work and get himself ready to contribute because we need him to. When you talk about Brian, I just think Brian got the ball out of his hand. Knew which side of the field he was working, made quick decisions, and done it. To let the ball loose. There's probably a couple of times if he had held it for a count or two, we had other guys breaking open. But, you got to have a clock in your head as a quarterback. You can't sit back there and hold the ball, and I thought he'd done a nice job for the most part.
Patrick and Rob and Jesse.
Jeremy, it looked like Tim Jordan was the second running back in the game on Saturday, and I think Eric Gray only had one touch in the first half. Kind of what went into the change in the pecking order there? And what does Eric need to do?
We're just going by practice, So Tim Jordan, to me, is a really good competitor. He's worked hard all year, and he got hurt, early in the Georgia State game. And kind of lost, didn't get an opportunity to play there for a couple of weeks, but he's healthy now, and Tim had some really good, tough runs in the game.
Jesse, Robert West.
Jeremy, when you go back and watch the film, whether it's Saturday or even the first couple weeks of the season, is it just an inability to win one-on-ones that's holding the pass rush back, or when you kind of rewind the tape, what are you seeing that why you guys aren't getting home on a regular basis?
Yeah, it starts with one-on-ones. You get some freebies, and we've had some freebies this year, whether it's been breakdowns by the other team or maybe we had a good schematic blitz or something. We had one Saturday where we were going to get home, and they were in motion, right, when Sean Schamberger come off the head of the slot there. Sometimes you get those, but the number one thing for a defensive lineman, DN, linebacker, defensive back is you got to win one-on-ones. If you can get one-on-one in pass rush, it's no different than you're out there trying to guard somebody, right? They're trying to keep you to get to the spot, get to the quarterback there. So we've got to win one-on-ones.
Coach, you touched on this a little bit, but outside or inside linebacker specifically, it looked like Henry and Daniel might have played every snap on Saturday. How big of a priority is it to develop somebody behind them? Is anybody close?
Yeah, I mean, we got to continue to develop some players there. But there's been lots of years that we played in games. I mean, one year we played in 104 snaps, and we had the same guys that played every snap. So, the guys are conditioned to do it. They'll be fine. I think one thing with Daniel's not as conditioned is maybe his knee a little bit. The practice, the wear and tear. You look over a grind of 7 weeks here. We got to get somebody in there to give him an opportunity to get his legs back under him. And it's probably hurt us a little bit in pass rush because before Daniel, hurt his knee, he was a guy that played our buck position, and he rushed on third down. So we've got to get him back to where he can do that again.
Wes, and then Jimmy.
Jimmy, as you were sort of breaking down film of that game, it looked like maybe Georgia's outside pass rush got a lot better in the second half, or was more effective. Was anything changed there that they did at halftime, or did they just kind of sharpen up and figure out what y'all were doing?
I think there was a little bit of them, probably a little more of us. I didn't see them call anything new in the second half that they didn't call in the first half. I think some of it was they played a little better coverage in the back end, and we held the ball a little longer, so it gave them an opportunity to get there. But I probably not.
Jimmy, then David, and Brian.
Jeremy, I didn't see this, but I got calls about it, and there seemed to be some skirmish on the sideline with Will Friend and somebody else. Can you kind of address that or clear up maybe what happened?
No, I don't think it was a Will Friend. I think it was some of our players. I didn't see it either, Jimmy, so I got told about it. And when I got told about it, I was fired up. I'm glad we got some passion around here that people want to do things the right way. So we need a few more of them, if you ask me.
Last couple, David and Brent. David right here in front.
What are the things you're wanting to work with Brian about this week in practice and sort of shore up in as you guys work with him this week?
Well, it's the first game that we put a game plan in for him, right? He came in the Florida game. It's kind of the plan wasn't exactly directed for him, okay? Him and Jared are different. Him and JT are different. Just like all of us in this room are different. We all got strengths and weaknesses. So he made some really good decisions Saturday, okay? Made some really good plays. But there was some inconsistency there, just like everybody on our football team, that he's got to improve on. We got to improve on some things, and the things that he done well, maybe we need to go to the next deal, right? And continue to create opportunities for him to have success. But I thought the guy stood in the pocket. I thought that for the most part, he controlled the game. There's some parts there in the second half. You talk about inconsistencies. We got a couple of false starts, right? Well, he's got to be louder when he's under center, and he's got to be more direct when he's clapping his hands. So just little bitty things like that probably cost us a couple plays. We're 2nd-1, now we're 2nd-7, just because we don't clap our hands loud enough. So we've got to be consistent on our clap. Some of that is, hey, he's for the first time, he's kind of in the moment. He's seeing what the folks are doing in the back end. Is this backer coming? Do I need to do something here? Where's the safety at? And maybe forgot the most simplest thing is, having some force when he claps his hands, right? So there's lots of things to learn.
Brent, final question.
Coach, how do you become a better second-half football team? You guys have been outscored pretty handily in the second half this year. Is that just depth? What are you going to do to be a complete 60-minute football team?
Well, I think it starts with execution. It'd be interesting to see exactly the turnover margin from halftime on. Saturday we were -2, and then we had one penalty, where made some plays. It's one thing to get penalties, okay? It's another thing to get them when you're making positive plays, right? Two games in a row we've got penalties for O-linemen being too aggressive, okay? Number one, we can't break the rules, but and we'll learn to stop when they blow the whistle, but first they got to blow a whistle so we can stop. But I am excited to see that we got guys up front that are trying to finish people and put people into the ground, okay? That's a long ways from where we first started 22 months ago, okay? We couldn't find 5 offensive linemen to go out there to practice. All right, so now we're starting to have to slow them down. That's a good thing, okay? We got to get some discipline to understand not to make some mistakes. But I would say, Brandon's probably turnovers, okay, maybe depth, maybe execution, maybe maturity, the same plan that all of us have had wherever we've coached. You probably could have took a video and went in our locker room and went in Georgia's locker room. And the operations of the coaching staff are probably identical when it comes to coaching the players because we coach every play all the way through the game. So, but we've got to execute better in the second half, not turn the ball over.
Thank you, Coach.
Did you enjoy that movie?